going to start. Hi, everyone. Thanks again for joining today's session. Today, we're going to go through some of the key information regarding the graduate visa, its key requirements, and how to apply. So today's session is organized in partnership by my colleague from the Curious Enterprise team, Rihanna. She's also here in this meeting, and she'll be maintaining the Q&A chat. So if you have any questions, you can just drop your questions in the Q&A function of this meeting, and we'll have 15 to 20 minutes in the end of the session to answer your questions. So a brief introduction of myself and my department. My name is Elisa. I'm one of the international student advisors at Advice and Counseling Service. So we are the only staff members at Queen Mary that are authorized to give immigration advice to our students. So if you have any questions regarding your current immigration status as a student visa holders, or if there's any presentation materials here in the session that is unclear, please go directly to us. We'll be able to answer your questions, or if it's something that's outside of our expertise and competence, we will be able to signpost you to the appropriate external advisors for specialist advice. And once again, for people who haven't scanned the QR code here on this slide, please do to register your attendance for the session. So first of all, let's talk about what is a graduate visa. So the graduate visa was introduced back in 2021 as part of the international student strategy in the UK. The purpose of the visa is for international student graduates who were studying at a UK university and then graduated and be holding a student visa for their study to remain in the UK on this graduate visa, so that they can seek work and gain work experience after their graduation. The duration for the visa is 24 months at present if you are studying at below PhD level. So if you are graduating from a bachelor's or master's degree, then you will get 24 months when the graduate visa is granted. For PhD graduates, the duration will be longer. You will be given 3 years, 36 months in total on the graduate visa. However, there will be a change incoming later on from the 1st of January next year. So from the 1st of January 2027, for people who will be graduating at below PhD level, so at bachelor's or master's level, the duration will be shortened from 24 months to 18 months. We'll go into that later on in the presentation, just to keep that upcoming change in mind here. The graduate visa is an unsponsored route. So unlike a lot of the work visa routes in the UK, you don't need to first have obtained a job offer and have an eligible employer willing to sponsor you for a certain specific job before you can apply for the graduate visa. So you don't need to meet a bunch of requirements in terms of sponsorship and your job offer before you can apply for the graduate visa. So this allows for a lot more flexibility when it comes to obtaining a job and getting sponsorship. None of these are required for the graduate visa. There are very few restrictions on the types of work that you can do, and there are also no required salary level or skill levels for the graduate visa. So the only work restriction for the graduate visa is that you are not allowed to work as a professional sports person. That's the only work restriction on this visa. You can do all sorts of work holding a graduate visa, including self-employment. There is one very specific restriction on the graduate visa when it comes to study. However, if a course is eligible for a student visa, you are not allowed to study that course while holding a graduate visa. What you need to do then is to switch to another type of visa that will allow you to study that course, such as a student visa. And this is something that you need to keep in mind if you are planning further studies in the UK. So a lot of the courses, most of the courses that you can study at the university are most likely eligible for a student visa. So if you're planning to progress from a bachelor's degree to a master's degree, for example, you need to plan accordingly because there are this restriction on the graduate visa. Here are some of the key eligibility requirements for the graduate visa. So these are the key requirements you need to meet before you can apply for the graduate visa, before you become eligible to apply. And these are only the key requirements. The full list of requirements, you can refer to the gov.uk website regarding the graduate visa. So the first key requirement is that you need to be studying a degree level course, because the graduate visa is designed for people who are studying and will be graduating at a degree level. So if you are studying at below degree level, such as a standalone foundation program, that is below degree level, below R-curve level 6, that's the degree level, R-curve level 6, then you are not eligible for the graduate visa. The second requirement is you need to have studied and completed the course stated on your student visa. So that is the course where you have been given a CAS, and that is the course you need to complete. Unless you change course and then you get the permission from the university to change course while keeping your student visa. The third requirement is you need to have achieved your intended award. So if your CAS and your student visa was issued for a bachelor's degree, you need to have been awarded a bachelor's degree in the end. If you have been given any lower exit award, such as a higher education diploma or higher education certificate, then you are not eligible for the graduate visa. It needs to be your full intended award, and it needs to be a degree qualification. So to give you another example, if your student visa is issued for a master's program, when you graduate, it has to be a master's qualification. If you have been given a PG DIP, a postgraduate diploma, then once again, you are not eligible for the graduate visa, because that's not your intended, that's not your full award that you should be having, and that's not a degree qualification, that's the diploma. The fourth requirement is that you need to be still holding a valid student visa and be in the UK when you apply for the graduate visa. Your student visa need to be still running, it hasn't expired, and you need to be in the UK when you submit the graduate visa application. The final key requirement is that you must not have had a graduate visa before, or a doctorate extension scheme permission before. So that's the predecessor of the graduate visa and has been phased out already. So you shouldn't be holding that permission. But if you have ever had a graduate visa permission or the doctorate extension scheme permission, then you are not allowed to apply for the graduate visa. The graduate visa application would simply be rejected as invalid. So that's the requirement here. That's why it's very important when you are planning to do further studying that are eligible for the student visa to plan accordingly, because once you have applied for and been granted a graduate visa, if you change to any other visa permission mid-course, not mid-course, in the middle of your graduate visa permission, then even though you haven't used out the full permission granted for you for the student, graduate visa, you will not be able to apply again. So the graduate visa is, at the moment, according to the rules, a once in a lifetime opportunity. Once you have been granted that permission, you cannot apply again. It doesn't matter whether you didn't use up the full 2 years or 3 years permission on the graduate visa. It's the number of times that you have had the permission that counts. And then the financial costs related to the graduate visa application. So same with the student visa application, there are two parts of fees that you need to have paid in order to have the visa application submitted. The first part is the visa application fee. So the fee is different than the student visa. For the graduate visa, the application fee itself is currently at £880. And then the second part of the fee, which is the most expensive part of the fee, is the immigration health surcharge, IHS. And the IHS rate is also more expensive than a student visa application because for a student visa application, you get a discount as a student. Whereas if you're applying for the graduate visa, you need to pay the standard rate, so the discount will be gone. The IHS rate, the standard IHS rate, is currently at about £1,000. So, depending on the length of graduate visa permission that you will be given, if it's 18 months, then it's the £1,000 times 1.5. If it's 2 years, it's times 2. If it's 3 years, because you have completed a PhD qualification, that will be 3 times of the standard yearly NHS rate. On the gov.uk website, which I've included here, they have actually very helpfully listed the different total amount of IHS rates you have to pay depending on your the length of your permission. So I've included here actually. So these are the current rates of the graduate visa application, and the rates can change whether it's for the IHS or for the application fee. So the figures I'm providing here is only accurate today at the time of presenting. When you apply, you need to refer to the most up-to-date guidance on the gov.uk or on our website to make sure that you have the money in hand in your bank account in order to clear the fees. That will form part of the visa application. You will be asked to pay these fees at the end of the visa application form. If you cannot clear the fees, the application will not be submitted. And a little bit about the timing of the application process. You need to meet certain requirements, which I've explained already in the previous slides, to become eligible for the graduate visa. So, because you need to have had your intended full award confirmed by the university first before you can apply for the graduate visa, you need to wait until you have received the intended award. And that's usually the publication dates on the HERE calendar, which you can access on the Q1Viewer Registry Services website. So these are the HERE publication calendar is a pretty good indicator of when approximately you should be receiving your final award and final results. And you should be notified when the results have been confirmed, and you should be able to access it on your MySIS account. So that's the first step in being eligible for the graduate visa. The second step is once you have your final award and results released on MySIS and your student status on MySIS updated from being fully enrolled to completed studies with intended outcome, then the university's immigration compliance team, ICT, they will receive the relevant information and they will report your successful completion of studies to UKVI. That's a key part of being eligible for the graduate visa. The university has to confirm to UKVI that you have successfully completed your intended course attached to your student visa before you can apply for the graduate visa. So you need to wait until ICT has made that report to UKVI before you can apply for the graduate visa. If you don't, if you apply before ICT has confirmed to UKVI, there's the risk of the graduate visa application being refused. And the third step here on this graph is you will be notified when ICT has made the report to UKVI. So you need to wait until you have received that confirmation from ICT about the report being made to UKVI. Then you can apply for the graduate visa. So you need to have wait 1, 2, 3, have your full awards confirmed, have ICT reported your successful completion to UKVI and have ICT informed you about the report made before the 4 steps that you apply for the graduate visa. You need to apply for the graduate visa before your student visa expires, because as previously mentioned, you need to have a valid running student visa when you apply for the graduate visa. So you need to make sure that, yes, you have waited until the report is made by ICT to UKVI and you have been informed before applying for the graduate visa, but you also need to make sure that you apply before your student visa expires. Otherwise, you'll be overstaying if your student visa has expired already and you haven't applied for the graduate visa and you are remaining in the UK. So if your student visa is expiring soon and you are yet to receive your final award, you are yet to hear from ICT, you need to contact them directly. They are now on SQM, so you can raise your queries on SQM directly. Just make sure that when you submit the SQM inquiry form, to choose the main category on the form as international and immigration. Only by choosing the right category on the SQM form, your inquiry will be signposted directly to the relevant department. So to contact ICT, you need to choose the main category on the form as immigration and compliance. Immigration and international immigration, sorry. You should be receiving the report from ICT within 2 to 3 weeks after receiving your final results. So if after 2 weeks have passed, when your results have been released and you're yet to hear from ICT, or if it's less than 2 weeks, but your student visa is expiring soon, contact ICT directly. Sometimes the ICT, they don't report your successful completion of studies to UKVI is because you haven't provided them with your most up-to-date passport, ID documents, or proof of your most up-to-date visa permission. So you also need to make sure that you have provided them with your most up-to-date ID documents and proof of immigration status as well. This is particularly important if people have had receipts, for example, that you have extended your student visa and you haven't provided them with your extended student visa evidence. Now, a little bit about the work conditions before and after you have applied for the graduate visa. These will be slightly different, but not that much different. So after you have completed your course and after the expected course end date stated on your CAS have passed, you will be considered to be outside of term time, to be at vacation periods. And student visa holders, when they are outside of term time, they are permitted to work full time while holding their student visa. So they can work full time employed work, but the following restrictions will still apply to them. So these are the restrictions that are currently applicable to you because you are holding the student visa. Which is that you cannot work as a self-employed person. You cannot be engaging in business activities. You cannot be working as a professional sports person, including coaching. You cannot be working as an entertainer, and you cannot be working in a full-time permanent role. So after completion of your studies, yes, during the wrap-up period, which is usually 4 months, if your course is 12 months or longer, you can work full-time employed work, but it has to be a full-time fixed-term contract or full-time temporary role. Full-time permanent contract is not allowed while you're holding a student visa. And by course completion, I mean that you have completed all the academic engagements relating to your study, and the expected course end date is the date that is stated on your most recent CAS that is linked to your most recent student visa. It's not the course end date on your MySysTax accounts. So you need to refer back to your most recent CAS to in order to make sure what is your expected course end date in relation to your work conditions attached to your student visa. So that is after course completion, but before you apply for the graduate visa. After completion of your course and after you have submitted the graduate visa application, things will be slightly different when it comes to your work conditions. If your graduate visa is made in time, that is that you apply for the graduate visa before your current student visa expires or your latest student visa expires, then the application is submitted in time. Then you can work same as previously, as if the conditions is being extended on your student visa permission, even though it has expired. But there is one exceptions, which is being made more generous by UKVI. That is that after submitting an in-time graduate visa application, even though the graduate visa application is still pending, you can actually work on a full-time permanent basis, which is not allowed previously before you apply for the graduate visa, as stated here. So this is one generous allowance by UKVI that after submitting the graduate visa in time, then you can start working on a full-time permanent basis. If your employer is not aware of this allowance, please refer them to the immigration rules and the employer's guide to right to work checks, which I've provided here. So the immigration rules are the immigration regulations made by the UK government, and on Appendix Student, paragraph 26.6, it states explicitly that you can work on a full-time permanent basis if you have applied for the graduate visa application and the application is still pending. The second link, Employer's Guide to Right to Work Checks. This is the guidance written specifically for employers by UKVI. And on page 48, it also explained that you have this allowance if you switch from a student to a graduate visa. And while the graduate visa is still pending, you can work full-time permanently. The third link is from UKISA, which is an organization for international students in the UK. And in the relevant section, conditions of the graduate visa, under the subsection of work, it also explained that you have this allowance. And in all these guidance, there's sometimes the reference of the university being a higher education provider with a track record of compliance. So just to clarify, UKVI is such a provider. We have a track record of compliance with UKVI, and we are a higher education provider. So you meet this requirement already because Queen Mary is such a provider. So when you see reference of this phrase in any of these guidance here, then just to keep in mind that Queen Mary meet this requirement. And so do you as being a sponsor student with Queen Mary. The final point here is that make sure you do not leave the UK while the graduate visa application is still pending, because if you leave the UK while a visa application submitted in country, the visa application will be withdrawn automatically by your action of leaving the UK. So you need to remain in the UK to wait for the new visa permission. This is sometimes asked by students saying, oh, but my student visa has expired already. So even though I have applied for my graduate visa in time before my student visa expires, but I am actually in between visas in the sense that my student visa has expired, but I'm still waiting for a decision on my new visa application, which is still pending. Then I don't have leave. Should I leave the UK? The answer is no. Please remain in the UK. There's this regulations in the sense that if you have submitted a visa application that is valid and that visa application is submitted in country in the UK and submitted in time before your previous visa expires, then you will be protected by something called Section 3C leave, which is basically an automatic extension of your previous immigration conditions and status. So even though your previous visa has expired already and your new visa application is still pending because you have submitted new visa application in time, then after the previous visa expiry, until a new decision has been made on your new visa application, in this period of time, you will be having Section 3C leave and you will have right to remain in the UK, and you need to remain in the UK to maintain Section 3C leave. If you leave the UK while you have Section 3C leave, that Section 3C leave will lapse automatically. If you leave the UK, and so does your visa application, it will be withdrawn automatically. So very important to remain in the UK after submitting the in-time graduate visa application. Once again, if your employer is not aware of the Section 3C leave protection automatically given to migrants submitting an in-time in-country visa application, please refer them to the Employer's Guide to Right to Work Checks. So that's the second link on the slides. There is a specific section explaining Section 3C leave and what the employer should do if they are not sure about how to check if their employee has this Section 3C leave. Currently, how it works is that the e-visa, your e-visa account should showcase if you have Section 3C leave, but our understanding is that it doesn't always work. There must be some glitches from the UKVI side of the system, but even if it doesn't show properly on your e-visa account and your employers just couldn't check based on your share code, they can check directly with UKVI when in doubt of any right to work check issue. So in that guidance, there are instructions on how the employers can contact UKVI. They should have an online portal which will allow them to do direct checks of your right to work with UKVI. And in the guidance, there's also telephone hotline for employers to phone UKVI. So please refer your employers to the Employer's Guide to Right to Work Checks if they have any questions in checking your right to work in the UK. And finally, before we move on to Q&A, so I explained early in the session that the duration of the graduate visa for non-PhD graduates will be shortened from next year. So this change has been proposed. To give you some background, in May last year, it was one of the UK government's proposed changes in the immigration white paper. So the proposal was to shorten the graduate visa duration from 24 months to 18 months. And the proposal has been made into law in October 2025. And it has been confirmed through a statement of changes to the immigration rules. So it has been incorporated into the existing immigration rules, immigration regulations already. I've provided the screenshots here. So as you can see, it says that it's 2 years for all other qualifications, excluding PhD at the moment. However, it's going to change from the 1st of January 2027. So that's the last row on this table here in the immigration rules. It will be 18 months if your graduate visa application is submitted on or after the 1st of January 2027. For PhD graduates or other graduates of other doctoral qualifications, the change will not impact you. Your permission remains to be 3 years, regardless of whether you apply before 2027 or afterwards. So if you are studying at below PhD levels and you should be completing before 2027, this may be something to keep in mind of if you really want to have the full 24 months permission on your graduate visa. So one example would be if you are currently studying a one-year master's program that starts from September 2025, started from September last year, then you are due to complete in September this year, September 2027. If you complete your course in time by September 2026, you should be able to apply for the graduate visa before the 1st of January 2027. And if you apply before the 1st of January 2027, you will still have the 24 months permission when your graduate visa is granted. If, however, you do not apply before the 1st of January 2027, either because you have reassessment or because you just didn't submit the graduate visa application before this time, then your permission, graduate visa permission, when it's granted, will be 18 months. If you will be still doing your course in 2027, then you don't need to worry about that because you will be getting the 18 months by the time you finish your course and by the time you apply for the graduate visa. There's nothing that you can do. So this is for people who are due to complete before this cutoff day, the 1st of January 2027, to keep in mind of if they want to have the 24 months. The cutoff date, the 1st of January 2027, is the date of your graduate visa application, the date you submit the graduate visa application form. It's not when you finish your course. It's not when ICT reports to UKVI about your successful completion of studies. It's not when your graduate visa will be granted eventually. It's the date of your visa application submission. You need to keep that in mind. When the change will come into effect and how you will be affected by that. A little bit of signposting if you need to get further advice. So there's us, obviously, at the ACS. So if there's anything that is unclear with this presentation or nearing your completion of studies and you want to get further advice on the graduate visa, please get in touch with us. We are also on SQM, and make sure this time when you complete the SQM inquiry form, you choose advice and counseling as the main category. That will have the inquiry transferred directly to us. Do not choose the international and immigration. That's for you to contact ICT. Remember, if you didn't receive the confirmation of reporting made to UKVI and your student visa is expiring soon. So international and immigration will get you to the immigration compliance team, which is completely separate from us. If you need to get visa advice, then you need to contact us, ACS, and you need to choose advice and counseling on the SQM inquiry form. And we'll get back to you as soon as possible. We have a 5 working day response time, but most of the time we respond much quicker than that. Just to point out that you can still access our servers at the ACS 4 months after you have completed your course. It's not when you have finished your course, when your student status on MySIS has been updated to completed studies, then you can no longer access our servers. For international student advice, you can access our servers 4 months after completing your studies. The second part here is the UKISA telephone line for international students. So as previously mentioned, UKISA is an organization set up specifically for international students in the UK, and they have regulated immigration advisors to give immigration advice as well. So if you want to get external advice other than us at the ACS from the university, you can phone the UKISA student advice line as well. So the telephone number is here. The line is open Monday to Friday, except for public holidays, from 1 to 4 p.m. UK time. And the line is completely free of charge. So you don't need to worry about fees for the phone calls. And finally, apart from UKISA, you can also get external regulated advice from one of the regulating bodies in the UK. Just make sure that when you get any external immigration advisors, that they are regulated with the regulating bodies such as the Immigration Advisors Authority, IAA. I've included the links here to for you to access regulated immigration advice. So please refer to these links directly and make sure before you hire an immigration advisor to make sure that they are regulated in the UK. It has to be authorized by one of the UK regulating bodies in order to give immigration advice by advisors. So ACS, International Supervisors, we are regulated at IIA, so does UKISA. On the law firm's website or Immigration Advisor Center's website, they should have the logo of IAA if they're regulated with IAA. And if you're not sure, you can check the IAA websites for the register as well. So this is very important just to make sure that you get the accurate and appropriate advice that you should be having. And these is the further events relating to work that the careers team and the ACS will be hosting together in the coming weeks and months until mid-March. So some careers advice and work visa options for you as well, including global talent or skilled worker. So not just the graduate visa. So if you're interested in getting some careers information, careers guidance, and to explore other work visa options, feel free to scan this QR code to register and see which workshops and webinars you are interested. And finally, before we actually move on to the questions, we have an IG account. The handle is KarenUL_ACS. Really advise you to follow us because a lot of our key contents are in the bio page, and we do post regularly if we have events such as this one, other parts of the transition to work or other socializing opportunities, either within the university, within the department, or outside of university by external organizations, will post on IG as well. So a very good way for you to access our online materials and to keep in touch with us in terms of the available services and events that we host for our students. So you can scan this QR code to get to our IG page and follow us. And the second link here is a blog written specifically by international student advisors such as myself, and it's written specifically for international students. So these will be more detailed information in the form of written posts. You can also subscribe to a blog so that you get a ping when we have new posts on the blog. And finally, the last link is just a link to our ACS webpage for further information regarding various visa issues. We have one specific page for graduate visa as well. So please go to our website and other online resources to get the detailed guidance and information. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation. I will move on to questions if we have any. I don't think I see any questions in the Q&A chat. I can see Rihanna has posted some of his sessions in the coming weeks. So please check out her links if you're interested. So there's one for job hunting on the 4th of February. So that's in 2 days on Wednesday. And then there's one for microhacks for international PGT students running from the 9th to the 12th of March. The links are included in the chat. So feel free to click and explore if you're interested. We have one question from Johnson. Approximately after completing course in September, when exactly in terms of... Yes, so I cannot give you an exact date because the academic processing is by your school and exam boards, which we have no control of or jurisdiction of as staff members at ACS. But once again, the here publication date should be a very good indicator of approximately when you receive your final results. My understanding is it should be around 1 to 2 months after you have after the expected course end date of your course. So if you are due to complete your course in September this year, you should be receiving your results in November, I would say. But please do check the here publication dates, and also you can check directly with your school if you want to have a more confirmed and exact date of when you receive the results. And as explained in one of my slides, which I'll refer here, that's only the first step of you becoming eligible to apply for the graduate visa. You also need to wait until ICT has confirmed your successful completion of studies to UKVI before you can apply for the graduate visa. And you should receive that report made by ICT to UKVI within 2 to 3 weeks after getting your final results. So 2 to 3 weeks after your here publication dates. That's the approximate time frame for you. But you should receive everything, step 1 to 3, before January, if that's what you're worried about. And one important thing is that you can do is to make sure that your current student visa has the correct expiry date, because sometimes UKVI they make mistakes. If your course is 12 months or longer, you should have 4 extra months on top of your expected course end date stated on your CAS or on your student visa. So if your course is due to finish in September 2026, you should have your student visa permission until January 2027. So if you have been given a shorter duration on your student visa, so if on your e-visa account it says your student visa expires in November 2026, you need to report that to UKVI. There's an online form to report this sort of e-visa issues and to have it ratified. So this will allow you to have sufficient time to wait for your results, to wait for the report before you become eligible for the graduate visa application. We have some questions about the sessions Rihanna posted, and she's answered ready. Thank you, Rihanna. Good to see that people are interested in the various sessions that you host. Do we have any further questions with the graduate visa relating to today's presentation, whether it's the eligibility requirements or the application process? Any questions? Okay, I see a hand raised. Can you unmute yourself, Venanti? Is that possible, or do I have to unmute you? You are still unmute. You're still...
Yeah, hi. I just
Hi.
wanted to say that I am awaiting my results. I just graduated in this of September of last year. What if I do apply for a graduate visa now? and I have gained an internship opportunity remotely at current. So will I still be applicable eligible for the graduate visa route?
Well, you need to meet the requirements for the
Correct.
graduate visa. If you have finished your course in September already, your student visa, I would assume, has expired already in
Yes, yes, in January itself.
yeah, so because your student visa expired already, you don't qualify for the
I'm
graduate
awaiting my
visa.
results. I'm still awaiting my results.
Do you have applied for an extension for your student visa?
No,
Yeah, then you don't meet the requirements. So as you can see here, you need to have completed your course, which you haven't because you're still waiting for your results, and your student visa has expired already. You need to have a valid student visa when you apply for the graduate visa.
okay. So after I complete my course, I can apply for a graduate visa.
No, you need to have a valid student visa, and you currently don't
So
have
I won't be
one.
applicable for this route.
Yeah, you won't be applicable. Because your case is more complicated than the standard scenario, I would advise you to contact us on SQM if you would like to get more specific advice on your individual situation. Is that okay for you to
Yeah,
drop an
that's fine.
inquiry on SQM? Yeah, because here is not a good platform to have all your
Yes,
information here because the
yes,
session is
sure.
recorded. Yeah, and it's public. Okay? Of
Yes, thank you.
course. Let's see if we have any more questions. There's one from Saeed. How long does it take to get the visa? So the standard processing time for a visa application submitted in country is said to be 8 weeks. And that is after your biometric attendance, if you need to attend a UK VCAS biometric appointment, or after you have clicked the submit and confirm button in uploading your documents if you use the ID check app as part of your visa application. So approximately 8 weeks. If you have travel plans and you need to travel outside the UK quickly after submitting the visa application, you can consider applying with priority services, but these will come with extra charges. So you need to pay £500 extra to get priority service. And there's the possibility of your visa application being expedited and being processed within a week, within 5 working days. But this published priority services time frame is not guaranteed. So you could still have to wait longer than 5 weeks, even though you have paid for the £500. We have another question. What if I got the graduate role starting? So this is something that you need to discuss with your employer. So either they can move your employment contract to a later date after your course completion date, or um, from the 3rd to the 15th, you can still work on a student visa. It's just that it's limited to 20 hours per week because you're still during term time. So either you only work 20 hours per week for this duration and then move on to full-time fixed term employment from the 16th of September, or your employer move your full-time contract from the 16th onwards. But this is something that you need to discuss with your employers to get the proper arrangements that suit both of you. And remember, after you have applied for the graduate visa, then you can work full-time permanently as well. Hmm. I hope that answers your questions. Do we have any further questions? Yes, if no, then we'll end the session here. Thanks everyone for joining. And once again, if you have any visa questions, feel free to send in an Ask Karim inquiry to us. We'll get back to you as soon as we can.